One of the most important geological features of North America is the mid-continent rift. The rift plays an important role in our understanding of plate tectonics and the sourcing of ancient Michigan copper. Upper Michigan has more than 98% of the world's pure native copper. Copper found elsewhere in the world is derived from low-grade ores. On the south shore of Lake Superior, there are more than 10,000 pits from the Bronze Age, 3,500 to 1000 BC. During this time, hundreds of millions of pounds of copper were extracted by tens of thousands of workers. Anyone can visit the site and see for themselves the surface mining pits that are 3,500 years old. Late Bronze Age copper mining in Lake Superior ended abruptly and coincidentally. Ancient civilizations alloyed copper and tin for use in war, agriculture, construction, and art. We believe that Michigan copper was part of the important Bronze Age of the Old World. More than 100 million pounds of copper crossed the Atlantic during a period of more than 1,000 years from Lake Superior to the Bell Beaker people who melted copper and tin to form the important alloy of the Bronze Age in the Old World. These ancient people made and traded bronze across Europe, the Middle East and North Africa. There are hundreds of sites in these lands and tens of thousands of artifacts that contain New World copper from Michigan. The people who organized the Transatlantic Michigan copper trade became wealthy. There was a clear advantage of getting Michigan copper to the Old World to realize the benefits of pure copper for the making and trading of bronze. This profitability drove the business for more than 1,000 years, moving more than 100 million pounds of pure copper in hundreds of ships across the Atlantic from North America to the Old World. There are three clear factors in the trade. 1. The abundance of pure copper pushed by plate tectonics to the Earth's surface by North America's mid-continent rift. 2. The purity of Michigan copper compared to the charcoal-fired, less pure copper of the Old World. And 3. The seafaring abilities of those ancient sailors who were able to cross the Atlantic. Michigan copper trade rewires the history of ancient America. The mid-continent rift system, which curves for more than 1,700 miles across the upper Midwest. It is one of North America's great rifts. Rifting began many years ago, when the Earth's crust began to split, creating Lake Superior and the Great Lakes. The rifting ended before the crust completely opened to form a new ocean, and as time passed, rift rocks were buried beneath younger rocks. With erosion and glaciation, the ancient rocks of the mid-continent rift were exposed in the southern shore of Lake Superior, creating the world's largest deposit of pure copper. The metal came up to the surface in a pure form and became the place where the ancients were able to dig surface pits to collect copper that hundreds of ships could move hundreds of millions of pounds in support of the Bronze Age of the Old World from 2500 to 1050 BC. The mid-continent rift demonstrates important aspects of the fundamental concept of modern geology, plate tectonics, which explains how the Earth works and why its surface differs from place to place. Plate tectonics describes that the Earth's crust is broken into plates that move over the mantle that is about 60 miles thick. The movement of these plates explains the formation of continents, mountains, volcanoes, and earthquakes. Without the mid-continent rift of North America, there is no pure Michigan copper in such abundance on the surface of the Earth. North America's mid-continent rift is a geological feature that formed when the continent split apart due to hotspot activity, creating a large rift system spanning 1,700 miles from Kansas to Lake Superior, leaving behind a large zone of volcanic rock and distinctive geological scars. As far as we are concerned, this scar on the surface of the Earth is important because it caused an area of about 120 miles where the pure copper from the Earth's core came to the surface. There are billions of pounds of pure copper in this unusual surface deposit. This copper deposit is unique in the world. The tectonic movements of plates in the middle of North America are needed to achieve such a result. In the Bronze Age, before the Greeks and Romans, ancient people took tens of millions of pounds of copper from the Earth to fuel the civilization of the Old World. We can find more than 10,000 surface pits today. Rising and stretching of the mantle causes rifts in the Earth's crust. As a result of the movement, the overlying surface thins and breaks apart. As molten copper rose to the surface, these hot spots created fracture zones. These important boundaries were directly influenced by the movement of tectonic plates, resulting in Michigan copper. During the upwelling of pure metal from the Earth, the movement of the plates was crucial. The ancients made their business out of pure copper that came to the surface as the mantle rose beneath the rift zone. As a result of the mid-continent rift, the world's largest copper deposit was exposed. The convection of molten metal in the mantle results from plate tectonics. For the Bronze Age, hundreds of millions of pounds of pure copper were formed as a result of this action. The rift is one of the most important geological structures in North America. Over 3,500 years ago, tens of thousands of people mined hundreds of millions of pounds of metal from the copper complex. Thousands of mines were dug by ancient people to extract copper from these pits. The area stretched 120 miles along the southern shores of Lake Superior on the Keweenaw Peninsula. Native copper from this metal was exceptionally pure. At Isle Royale, Keweenaw, and Ontonagon, ancient people dug pits. These tectonic movements of plates led to the conduct of metal trade in the Bronze Age. The Phoenicia, on the west bank of the Mississippi River in Montrose, Iowa, is the world's oldest ship replica that has crossed two oceans. This replica gives an illustration of how 3,500 years ago tens of thousands of sailors moved hundreds of millions of pounds of Michigan copper across the Atlantic in support of the Bronze Age. The copper from the mid-continent rift of North America rewrites the history of two ancient worlds. All people of goodwill are invited to come to see the ancient replica in Montrose to consider how the history of ancient America during the Bronze Age needs to be rewritten.